Okay, so it seems like there is a little bit more to this whole situation going on with xQc and recently Neuro Sama. Now, if you guys don't know, we've been covering this clip a couple of times in the past couple of days, where essentially he made a couple of comments about, anime in general after seeing a Neuro Sama clip, which a lot of people are pointing towards, him saying this directly from watching this one Neuro Sama clip. And the point that he's making was saying, how come a lot of anime have a lot of voices / songs that sound like children lullabies, and people love that? Feel like it might be fueling a part of them that generally is a threat to society and validates them. So yeah, obviously saying people are a threat to society. And then we looked at a couple of other clips that come out from people kind of responding to this in the sense of this clip here, and it seems that xQc is also, as he claims, a threat to society if he is also the one engaging within the same kind of content, which I think is incredibly funny. And obviously this got revealed very quickly after this clip came out, and yeah, people have been clowning on him ever since for that. And many people, as I said, have been kind of attributing this to his whole VTuber PTSD from the Marvel Rivals Twitch Rivals tournament with Doki Bird, where his team was beaten by her team when she had to drop out after they tried to obviously kind of tamper with a couple of things. And yeah, it seems like he's been mad ever since, and people have kind of been including this picture in here, which I think is quite funny, right? But it seems like now we have some other streamers getting involved in the situation and kind of talking about it, including people like Asmongold right here, who also has spoken about his take on loli characters and just this clip of xQc in general, which a lot of VTuber fans have also been responding to too. So let's just take a look and then we'll talk about it.
That get involved with like this stuff because they like lolis. Absolutely, that's a huge factor. Now, I don't think that it's necessarily like, if like a girl has a loli avatar, I don't think it's really always a big problem or a huge issue, but I do whenever the character is being sexualized. So, and also keep in mind that even if the character isn't being sexualized inside of the context, you're going to see a lot of the fan art and everything that is sexualized. Of course, that's true. Is that bad? I mean, I think it's weird. Like, I don't think lolis should be illegal, but I think that it's weird. And I think that's a very fair analysis and like a fair like position to have, that if you want to get involved and you want to get attached and like attracted to like fucking some like weird 2D loli character, like I don't necessarily think you should go to jail, but like I don't want you babysitting my kids either. Let's be honest. Like, if you knew somebody was in and attracted to characters like that in anime, would you want them babysitting your kid? No, you wouldn't. Really, like, that's the bottom line. And I'm not saying that they're a weirdo. I'm not. But I'm going to talk about the furry thing again. If you took two circles and you made a Venn diagram between the general population and people that wanted to fuck animals, and then you took the same two circles and you took one of them and it was the population of furries and the population of people that wanted to fuck animals, the Venn diagram between the furries and the animal fuckers, the circles would be closer together than the Venn diagram with the general public. That's just the way it is.
So yeah, that's obviously the main point that he's trying to drive home here, and many people have been bringing this up due to the fact that this is in response to the xQc clip wherever he talks about it. Now, there are some parts which I think a lot of people do agree with, in the fact that, you're allowed to feel like it's weird or you don't like it or whatever. And, that's kind of where I'm at. I think, me personally, I don't like it, but also I'm not going to bash other people for not liking it, right? Like, it's not like one of those things that I care about. And if people want to do that, that's totally fine. Like, it's not up to me. I don't care what you do in your free time. But me personally, I'm just not going to consume that kind of content, right? So again, I think that's totally fine. And that's in like a kind of sexualized manner. I think like normally, like for example, like loli VTubers, I don't really care like about them. Like, it doesn't really mean I'm not going to watch them or I'm not going to cover them or whatever just because they're a loli. That's just weird. But yeah, obviously in regards to the kind of sexual stuff that he talks about, yeah, I don't necessarily like it myself. I'm not gonna interact with that content, but I don't really care if someone does, right? And that's, I think the main point that he kind of has there as well. Now, he does go a little bit further in terms of saying, like, I won't let them babysit my kids and stuff, which has kind of angered some people in the community, which I can understand too. Obviously, some people saying, I would not want any man babysitting my kids, which is quite funny because they kind of just assume that everybody that likes loli kind of characters or VTubers or whatever are men, which again, there's a lot of women that also do like those kind of tropes or whatever you call it. If you're saying what stream is this from, because he was defending loli's rights to exist, so this feels like a backtrack or a weird projection to me. It feels like a woke Carol take based on emotion, not logic. So this is his stream today. Said this clip is around half a year old, which isn't true. I don't know why someone said that. That's not true at all, because we literally saw this xQc Neuro Sama clip the other day. So no, they say as a lolicon, I mean, his opinion is mostly fair. It's not illegal, but you can find it weird, sure. However, why would anyone trust someone with your kids anyways? A lolicon, furry, a porn actor, anyone. Why would I trust someone random? I said that's the whole point with the babysitting topic. They say this feels like a backtrack. I thought I remember him originally saying that it was weird, which again he did say it was weird in an old clip here, as you guys can see. Some people have been kind of bringing this one up, which was back in June. This was brought up.
Relationship or pseudo relationship or anything involving things that are even close to lolis at all in games, and I totally support any censorship of that in almost all capacities. I think it's disgusting, and I think it's for pedos. That's what I think.
So yeah, as you can see, he has definitely switched up on his opinion on this. But as I said, people's opinions can change, and my opinion has changed on it. A lot of other people's opinions have changed on it. So again, I know that some people are saying it's a backtrack, and it's whatever. But I don't think it's really that big of a deal to the point where Asmongold is in like big trouble or something over this, because again, I do think, as I said, people can change their opinions on certain topics, like xQc has done with his kind of whole him calling out childlike themes in anime and like VTubers and stuff. But I think the important thing to discuss isn't whether their opinion has changed, it's whether or how the opinion has changed. And I think in xQc's case, it has changed due to a Marvel Rivals tournament with a VTuber, and now he's just gone hell-bent on destroying every single VTuber that he possibly can see. Whereas I think Asmongold's is more so he's just thought about it a little bit more and changed his opinion, right? I think that's essentially it, right? And people have also been kind of commenting here saying, funny how Asmon says he doesn't think we're PDFs, but then tries to make the insinuation that we're more likely to be PDFs. Kind of like this, his friend Cooktone, obviously talking about Techtone there, who said visible disgust. So his position is basically that you are more likely to find a PDF from lolicons by virtue of what the interest is, but also the lolicon isn't worse than any other online fetishes, so it should be given equal treatment. This view is infinitely more tolerable than the antis, which again, obviously, I think there's many different opinions on this, right? Some people still dislike that last little bit where he said, I wouldn't want them babysitting my kids and whatever. People are mad at that. Some people are just taking what they can get in terms of his support, as it isn't exactly, he's not like fully against it. He's not like, if they go like, oh, let's get rid of them or whatever, like he did in the other clip that we looked at. It seems like he has kind of softened up a little bit, but people either are accepting that or they're not accepting that, and I do think that is totally it's a mixed bag, right? And there's been more comments as well. For example, people saying next time pull up the clip when there's a bit more kind of context to this. They say important context to add is that I'm discussing sexualized lollies specifically. Having a childlike / chibi character is totally fine and there's nothing wrong with it, but if you're sexualizing it, I think that's kind of weird. Which again, obviously, as I said, you're allowed to find that weird personally if that's what you think, right? And obviously Asmongold responded to the clip itself, and I do think it's like, I think that's fine, right? Because he says he's talking about sexualized lollies there, and he's even interacted with loli VTubers in the past, right? Which I think is pretty interesting. But obviously they were not sexualized; they were just kind of, doing their thing, right? So I do think that is obviously a very important distinction to kind of add into that clip, right? That he was talking about the sexualization rather than the actual kind of regular whatever. So again, I do think that is an extra bit of information that is definitely important. We've got the Dark Enjoy here as well saying, I agreed with Asmon when he said it was weird / odd at best, but the moment he started talking about babysitting BS, he lost me. Lolicons are the strong part of a faction which can separate reality and fiction, and unfortunately Asmon is one to conflate the two. Most lolicon hate real kids, which obviously... Yeah, I mean, again, there has been so many mixed opinions surrounding this, and I think this has become more of a conversation recently with things, for example, like Neuro Sama, because, again, I don't even know if you would class her as a loli. I don't know. I think she's, like, kind of in the middle there, if you get what I mean. I feel like she's not fully loli, I don't think, compared to some of the other designs I've seen. Maybe she does class as it. I'm not sure, okay? I'm not sure if there's, like, specific requirements that require this, right? In terms of character design. But obviously we looked at the Ima situation as well, where some people were trying to label her as one despite having a fully adult model. So I think it is also a big misunderstanding as to what is a loli and what does that consist of, and you know, why people are using this against VTubers in anime. Because again, people will call them this, people will call them children or whatever when they have a fully adult looking model, which I also think is pretty odd. And yeah, obviously clips like this coming out is really going to help out a lot of, well, not necessarily admins, but more so xQcs. You know, it isn't going to really help out a lot of the comments that people from outside the VTuber community are going to have whenever, you know, some big VTuber gets into a situation, something, for example, like Iron Mouse, where they start to call her a child, even though she is literally an adult with an adult model. So again, I do think it is a pretty interesting topic though to kind of talk about. It has been something that's been debated online for a very, very long time. And yeah, I mean, that is essentially it for this video. So if you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kazu, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.